I'm grateful to be able to share some words, I hope of hope, and I recognize with some despair, because that is the world we live in. And so tonight, this sermon, I want to begin by expressing gratitude to my wife, Julia, who sat with me and helped me through and talked and walked me through several versions of what to say. Because tonight, it is very hard to know what to say. Tonight, the world is on fire. Our sins are on fire. Our house is on fire. The more we read another verdict, another executive order, another shooting, another nomination, another house is burning, the more likely we are to expect the sirens and the burned out shells, and the less likely we are to get up off the couch with a bucket of water. We are becoming numb. We are watching the days roll into one another as a countdown to the election, a countdown to return to a post-pandemic society, facing a looming winter of indoor isolation and looming tyranny. We are looking on as the world is burning, and we are inside as the boundaries of our lives are blurring into chaos. I read a meme a few months ago that it is not that we're working from home, but we are living at work, for those of us who are working at all. There are no boundaries anymore. In any given hour, I am likely to answer JRC emails, make lunch, log my child into Zoom gym class, change the laundry, like a comment on Facebook, react in convulsing anxiety at the latest crumbling ember of society, and then jot down notes for my Yom Kippur sermon. The line between work and home, connection and distraction is blurry. It's as though we just can't put anything down. It's messy and exhausting and overwhelming. We cannot do it all. I hear this experience, this enormous overwhelm of this moment in many of us, and it shows up in Torah, specifically the words we will read tomorrow morning on Yom Kippur. Leviticus 16 describes how the mountains of sins shall be heaped upon the bulls and the goats for the scapegoat sin offerings, and then cast out into the world. The pile is staggeringly high and endless, and the high priest, representing us all, shall take them to the edges and burn them until their blood and entrails are aflame. This ritual is putrid, bloody and filthy with stench that everything comes near it. The high priest, himself, his home, his community, is afflicted and polluted. The whole picture is crushing. And today, we are the high priest. Today, we are living amongst the wildfire of burning wrongs. How can we possibly get rid of the stench? How could we get clean after a fire like this? How can we possibly breathe, let alone wash clean? The reality that we live under the rule of tyrannical manipulation and global viral pandemic, crushing systemic bigotry and lie after lie, with our democracy crumbling, also makes focusing on anything but protecting our democracy and justice feel small and petty. And yet that's exactly what I want to do tonight. Focus on something small, something we can touch and something we can do. A midrash tells that when Moses went to construct the home for God, the Mishkan, the tabernacle, he felt insecure, and he said to God, how can I possibly construct this sanctuary, knowing that I am only human and I cannot perfect it to the same level that you and the angels could? And God returned and said, I have celestial materials above. You do not need those materials. You do not need my materials. You have your materials down below. And if you build it with the materials you have in your earthly plane, in your home, it will be enough, and I will come and dwell there. There is no angle wide enough to capture the enormity of the fire, no materials big enough to rebuild it all. And Alex Sillitz, I said angle wide enough, and you went to a wide angle. So I am sending you much gratitude for being right here with me. There's no angle that's wide enough, even this beautiful wide angle. No materials build enough to build it all. It doesn't start with the country or the city or the community. It starts in your house. It starts right there where you are and where you have those materials right here, right now. What puts out fire? Water. Where do we find water? In the well. What's our well? Judaism. We are drinking from the well of Judaism tonight. The ritual of a Yom Kippur retreat is to escape everything on the outside, sit within the cocoon of this space and not work and not eat, not read the news, so we can focus on one thing, the restoration of our souls. There is nothing more important. Tonight, it is Kol Nidre, and we are in the mindset to turn to Jewish practice for guidance to deal with the burning world. But it's actually the day after this one that I care more about. The day when community disperses and there aren't inspiring words or music or connections. When it's Tuesday, or next Tuesday, or the week after that. That's the day when we really need a well to renew us on that day and every other, for the bucket keeps coming up dry, or there's a hole in the bucket, or both. Our Jewish well is deep and broad. It contains stories and traditions, blessings and values, actions and beauty and complexity. It's not about searching for a particular substance to put inside it. It's actually about doing something that fills it, otherwise known as ritual. Jewish ritual creates relationships between human beings, the contexts of our times, the expansive container of Judaism, and the languages and lenses through which we see and engage the world. Ritual translates meaning between actual lived experiences and the wellspring of support and creativity of Judaism. This is the moment to make the implicit explicit, to mark transitional moments from one state of being to another, so that we can create those boundaries once again, so that our Judaism grows and moves with us as a source of comfort and inspiration and transformation and maybe even joy. Like the Havdalah ritual that will end Yom Kippur, we use our senses. We see candles and reflection, or the way the sun looks on our bedroom wall. We taste the wine, or maybe ice cream after dinner. We smell and breathe in the spices, or the way our clean hair smells when it's fresh. We touch the drips of candle wax, or the way the garden dirt feels underneath our fingernails. We hear singing, or we hear the sizzle, or we hear the doorbell when the mail comes. We use the tangible to mark change. We focus and pay attention. Ritual can be smashing a glass or baking an apple cake or putting on a kippah. Ritual can be saying 100 blessings every day as the Talmud teaches, bless the wiping of the schmutz out of our eyes when we open them, hama'avir sheina me'enai udnuma me'afapai. Holding hands or blessing before we eat. Ritual is a conscious exhale when changing out of work clothes and into comfy pants. A regular movie night, a morning walk to the lake to see the sunrise. Rituals organize our lives and mark the passing of time and give us predictability. They make it easier to realize the fact that in fact today it's Yom Kippur and not March the 187th. I love ritual. I also need it, like many of you, and I'm searching to fill my own well. In fact, as I sat down over and over again to talk about personal ritual practice, I got stuck because I too am struggling to move from one state of being to the next. But we have to. We need to pause the constant swirl of feelings and gain perspective and acknowledge what hurts and what doesn't. So this blurred and boundaryless time and existence doesn't feel like a toxic, anxiety-filled, lonely mess. A ritual is small. It's a crumb or a moment. I make coffee in the morning, and the feeling when I take a sip, feeling its warmth and its aroma, rich and smooth, I feel it moving through my body and helping me wake up. and feel the difference in temperature as it barely burns my tongue. Blessed are you who creates goodness, taste, and the openings for nourishment. Ritual is making a habit of letting someone merge into the lane in front of you, because Judaism is about connecting to humanity, waving to the person who lets you in. Blessed are you who commands us to love our fellow human being as we love ourselves. It's seeing a friend walk by as you're sitting on your steps and saying, Mechayeh hametim, blessed is the one who re-enlivens us. Stopping what we are doing because it is more important to connect than it is to rush. When I'm feeling antsy, I take a walk to the lake, noticing how smooth or it's choppy, the color reflected in the sky, and it makes me notice the season and the air and where I am in this moment. It stops the reeling. It orients. Blessed is the one who makes the wind blow and the dew fall, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, who stretches forth the earth upon our waters. Take off the headphones and wrap the cords so they don't tangle. Stretch your arms and legs so they don't tangle. Baruch atah matir asurim, who frees the bound. Wash your hands al netilat yadayim, so they can put down the work and pick up a fork. Hold hands around the dinner table to acknowledge that the people who are here are more important than the device in our pocket. Blessed are the connections that bring forth bread from the earth. Sing the same song at bedtime, Shiru Ladonai, and maybe they are the bedtime songs that were once sung to us. For pattern and repetition communicate to our soul that the song we sing, even if it's off key, means it's nighttime. Blessed are you, Hama'ariv Aravim, who makes the evening fall. The Reconstructionist website, ritualwell.org, has created a project called Harvesting Resilience, daily 5-minute practices or teachings that you receive via text message or email for the 30 days that are leading up to the election. I just joined. It looks fantastic, and I invite you to do this with me. Ritual Well, Harvesting Resilience, and we'll say more about that tomorrow. How will you mark time using Judaism in your home every day, where you work and play and parent and take action and sleep, and turn it into a space that is also nourishing for you too? Will you make it a point to put photos of those whom you love in places where you can see them as your minion? How might you focus on one sacred moment every day and put Jewish language to it? Hebrew, English, Yiddish, Ladino, or silence, so that Judaism becomes a tool you have with you all the time, because it's there. I am grateful for the pajamas that I'm putting on right now, for I am in need of comfort. Blessed are you who clothes the naked. Bench Gomel, say words of gratitude when we survive something terrifying or we recover from illness. Say it aloud. Expressing gratitude is the Jewish value of noticing. It's the value of perspective, not only on Shabbat. Yehudim, the Hebrew word for Jews, is bound with the root lehodot, which means to be grateful. It's who we are. And so you may think it's strange in the middle of a pandemic, fascism, racism, and broad injustice to talk about the ritual of enjoying your morning coffee and how to be more religious. We are the first to say that thoughts and prayers are not enough when politicians spew that line. But this is about filling our own wells, not somebody else's, so that we can keep putting out the fire in action. This is about connecting the moments in our lives with Judaism, so that Judaism scaffolds us when we work and march and vote and resist. We don't do these rituals because they're old and your ancestors believed that you should be Jewish and go to shul. We do these rituals because they use our own Judaism to speak to where our guts and our hearts are right now. And we need something meaningful to speak to our guts and our hearts. Our Judaism is about how we live our values, not merely believe in them, but how we live them. And there is nothing too small, crumb-like, or granular about that. And then, When we mark the passage from morning into dinner time, from work into home, from striving into rest, then we begin to rebuild the cartilage between our aching joints that has worn thin and arthritic. We feed our soul, our life breath. In our Jewish language, Kol Nidre Tehallel Hallelujah. And then we can create a bit more softness, a bit more space, a bit more compassion in how we move through the world. Compassion, not with everyone else, but with ourselves. And then the language of blessing and ritual, and yes, even prayers, become Jewish guides that keep us company when we are in need. They fill the well with enough water to extinguish some of the despair. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll be leading a discussion group at 1:30 p.m. to talk about the specifics. Where can you make a space for Judaism to be something you lean on every day? Might you make a place in your home where you neither go to create nor to work, but to nourish? What might you say when you log into your workday, or when you put food in your mouth, or when you make a donation to an organization that you care about? What blessing might you give? What do you need right now to make it through? Self-care, activism, exhaustion. Tomorrow, we'll build recipes for rituals and take it step by step by step into the practical and the very little things. It's the first step to overcoming the numbness so that we can re-energize to put out the fire. Because the fire continues to burn and we have to fill up the well. Leah Goldberg wrote in Yiddish, then translated into Hebrew by Penina Peli, Lamdeni Elohai. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my days be like the one before, lest routine set my ways. Tonight, we raise this up, to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to despair, to hope. Teach me a blessing, to take a break, to notice, to make sure our own wells don't burn up dry with all the sins, because our wells are essential and they need filling, for the road to healing is very long. Teach our lips a blessing, our hands a movement, our ears a song, our lungs a breath. Renew our days, and let our days renew us. Amen.